So after 9 weeks of just pain, we finally got some green on the horizon, a relief rally taking place right before our eyes, maybe leading us into a little crypto summer. We're going to let you on a little secret. It's a trap. Just be careful out there in the land of crypto, everyone. This is just a perspective, an opinion from someone that it really doesn't matter taking it from, but allowing you to understand that the possibilities of going higher within the summer are a real thing, but ultimately we have not seen the bottom potentially within this market. Could we have already seen the bottom? Of course. The bottom, probably, if history is any indication, is right around these next couple months. That's give or take from where we're currently at. We could have already seen the bottom for Bitcoin and the entire crypto space itself at 25K, or a bigger capitulation could be taking place later this year. So in this video, we're going to be going over some charts and graphs that are going to give us some indications, some helpful ideas of where this market could currently trend. But at the end of this video, we will be talking about dollar cost and averaging into Bitcoin like we do each and every week. And ultimately, the price point itself, it just gives us a law of averages over time, and we don't really care how it capitulates during these times because we have a long-term horizon. Now, we will also be going over $1 million Bitcoin, and if you're dollar costing averaging into Bitcoin, what that looks like on a weekly, monthly, or even quarterly basis, adding in that $100, whatever you're able to add into Bitcoin, even if it's 50 or up to 1,000, whatever that case is, dollar costing averaging accumulation through Bitcoin is creating your future wealth at the end of the day. We are also going to be going over the Biden White House administration meeting with the Fed as well as Janet Yellen, going over that news, and then the charts and graphs throughout the week. That's really going to help us understand where this market currently is at the end of the day. Remember, if you do enjoy this content, give us a like and subscribe. Head over to that Twitter page at Macro Crypto Club and give us a follow. Like always, link will be down in the description, everyone. Let's go ahead, head right into our rant, understanding each and every week we're sounding like a broken record at this point. Bitcoin in your portfolio. Look, for me personally, I believe in Ethereum outpacing Bitcoin in the long run, at least over the next 4, maybe 8 years. That's just my perspective. But it doesn't mean that I don't acknowledge and accept that Bitcoin is the king of crypto for a reason. And it's a large part of my portfolio, just as much as Ethereum is, but Bitcoin is a winner at the end of the day. It's Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, Google, all rolled into one before the dot-com bubble. Basically, you understand that Bitcoin's going to come out of this a winner, no matter what. If you're in the crypto market and you understand, you believe in the crypto space, Bitcoin will succeed and needs to succeed ultimately for the crypto space to succeed. So Bitcoin at the end of the day is the smartest position you can have within your portfolio. Ethereum, yes, it's a close second in my book, but Bitcoin is still the safe haven assets, digital property, a way for you to understand that the world will change through the eyes of Bitcoin. So positioning yourself in Bitcoin gives you a massive amount of return for being first. And we're still so early in this game. Yes, there's ways that you can obviously get more money or more returns on other assets, but you're also gambling that, and you also can lose a lot of money that way as well. If you're dollar cost and averaging into Bitcoin, maybe throw in 10%, 25%, 50%, 75% of your investments into Bitcoin on a weekly, monthly basis, whatever that case is, you do you. But Bitcoin needs to be part of your portfolio, but that's neither here nor there, as none of this is financial advice. I'm just throwing a little bit of a rant and an opinion out there, and you can take that perspective how you wish. Okay, so enough of that rant, going right into the idea that Biden and Powell will meet as rate hikes start to bite. Yes, understand that these rate hikes are killing the market. Some will agree that this needs to happen. We need a recession. We need to get all this money eaten back up. It's killing the market. It's killing the little guy. Look, Bitcoin, if the rate hikes continue, just like the tech sector might not survive this for the time being, but Bitcoin ultimately will come out on the other side unscathed, if we're being honest with one another. Now, with elections right around the corner, this is why this meeting's taking place, is because obviously, if you're unaware, if you're not in America, the Dems hold the House, the the Senate and then the White House with President Biden. This is not a good look for the primaries coming up later this year. So if the rate hikes could be put on hold until that part, it really trying to play a bipartisan approach from the Fed, not really hurting the current administration. But at the same time, I think there's just too much blood in the streets to really try to save that. They should have tried to do that earlier this year, but that's neither here nor there. So what you can start to see, what we're trying to get with this is that might be seeing no rate hikes for the next couple of months, or at least the next couple of meetings that the Fed has. And that's really going to maybe flatline the markets. It could extend the markets a little higher, give them a little bit of relief rally. But ultimately, I do think the Fed will continue rate hikes later this year, which ultimately will capitulate the market at some point. But that's just a perspective. We might come out of this meeting and the Fed's just like, no, we have to. We're going to go into a deep recession if we don't. And it's going to be really kind of eye-popping to see on that next meeting what type of rate hikes we get. Janet Yellen's also part of this meeting as well. So this will be exciting. Or not exciting, could be exciting depending on what happens with the market. But now Will Clemente sent this chart out. What we do want to just give you a little bit of an idea of, we're not huge on charts and graphs on understanding them and their complexities to a T, but one can argue to understand that when we have reached our peaks, okay, the STH and LTH cost basis ratio, that means short-term and long-term holders, are at all-time highs as well when the market has reached its peak. And then when we had our bottoms, and then also it looks like two different ratios of the realized price for long-term and short-term holders, they intersect. We get that capitulation down to the low, up to the market low. This obviously dips for the short-term, long-term ratio basis, also dips below this line that was created, marking that bear market, that trend until they cross again and we start our acceleration to new all-time highs. We saw it again in 2018 when it peaked out at the end of 2017 and beginning of 2018. And then as it started to decrease, those short-term holders really started to sell off, selling pressure. Again, the realized price, both for the long-term and short-term, that those crossed. And then we obviously already had the capitulation happen, but we did have an extended bear market, or basically just the crypto winter at the end of the day. Again, there we are in 2019, holding below that line. Now, here is that same cost basis ratio, not farly extended. Now, obviously, like we just discussed, or we talked, I believe we did talked about, that the idea that the previous all-time high in the other markets really far exceeded what we got in returns this past year. That's based off possibility of diminishing returns, but, you know, might also mean that we don't have as many losses down the line as well. And we might have already seen the greatest amount or the lowest we will see within this this bottom of $25,000 worth of Bitcoin. So, but as you can tell, we peaked out. Okay, now these two could be coming to a close here of connecting and crossing. Once that takes place, just like previously, that capitulation is right around the corner. So understand, we'll keep a close eye on both the LTH and STH realized price. Once those do cross, understand that that's going to be an accumulation of a lifetime to garner as much Bitcoin as you can. Be like a Kirby and eat that shit up if that happens. Right now, we're still dollar cost and averaging in. It's at that time you're like, I'm never going to get this Bitcoin this price ever again in my entire lifetime. You saw it here, capitulated down. You never saw that price worth of Bitcoin ever again. $100-something. New all-time high, came down to about $3,000. Never again saw you will ever see a $3,000 Bitcoin. What price we go down this market? We'll kind of wait and see, of course, right? We've shown you the rainbow chart before, understanding that, look, we did not get up here with the blow off top like we have before, but we exceeded this blow off top back in that 2014 run, and then obviously in the 2017 run didn't exceed into that rainbow chart. This kind of falls suit with diminishing returns, which would make sense. Now we barely kind of got into that orange over this cycle itself, and maybe it's only the yellow the next cycle, which would still put us well north of $200,000, probably over $250,000 worth per Bitcoin, which starts to make sense a little bit more. So right now with a $30,000 Bitcoin, knowing that a $250,000 Bitcoin is not too far off, makes accumulation a little bit more juicy. But the question is how far do we dip into this cycle? If you've seen previously, we've touched into the blue numerous times here, but during these times, even though we touched in the blue later on, these are like $5,600 worth of Bitcoin prices, where this right here, we never saw that 3,000 price Bitcoin again, because with time, this logarithmic algorithm is in exponential growth. So we are just continuing a growth pattern, just with diminishing returns, but hopefully diminishing losses along the way as well. So this was put out on TradingView. Cliff dwellers of the world unite in a feat of magic. Bitcoin breaks through resistance and sees 3 green daily candles. What happens next? Bitcoin ended a historically bad 9-week downtrend. Just hurts the heart over the weekend to finally give investors a glimmer of green. And that started the week even more optimistically. Bitcoin leaped 7.75% on Monday, giving the bulls such a relief after such a long period of sluggish price action. As per, altcoins followed Bitcoin's lead like they do each and every time. Cardano just killing it out the gates, 37% pump over the last 2 days, while Ethereum jumped over 10%. Have the bears priced in the market? Who knows? Honestly, that depends on a lot of macroeconomic factors, like whether the Fed decides to stop turning inflation screw even higher. If you don't know, also out there in the euro and Germany hit a 50-year high in inflation. This is not just a US thing. This is a euro problem, a world problem, and I don't think we've seen the worst of it, if we're being honest with each other. But we get a little relief right now, a little easier on the heart as we go through these markets. But understand, if this will just give you a best chance to dollar cost average into Bitcoin. But we want to continue checking out how this price action occurs. Okay, so when you look at this chart right here, what you're going to notice here, we circled it for you, understanding that's the bear market resistance band. That's the price what we're trying to head towards. Currently right now, Bitcoin's SMA and EMA are right around $38,000. You'll see that right up here in this corner, right up there, as I'm holding on to where we're the current week that we're in. That's where the current EMA and SMA are. If we can get above that and hold it, then we can see new all-time highs ultimately. What you'll notice is this has happened before. When we hit below it, we went above it, tested it, bounced up to a new all-time high. So now as we're in a downtrend, in a local downtrend, to set new lows, what's going to happen is you're going to get this bounce. We did not hold that bear market resistance band, and we ultimately set a new low for the market cycle. So if we're getting a true relief rally, as we head back towards this, do we bounce off of it and come back down now to no new lows? Then we can go fight that bear market resistance band once again. How that's going to operate, how that's going to work, only time's going to tell. But if we can get above it and then come back down and bounce off of it, we can expect big things around the corner. So this is just going off history repeating itself. If we zoom out a little bit, or we zoom over to, let's take you to 2018, 2017 local top, coming down below, bounce off, new low. Back up, bounced off, came down, didn't set a new all-time low because we bounced off a couple times, just moved sideways, and ultimately just capitulated hard for a new all-time low. So gives you a little idea of where these markets could trend and how it could operate over time. Now, the weekly and Bitcoin's monthly dollar cost average here on this video. This way you can continue tracking it with us. $100 each allocation. Currently, number of sats. Remember, sats is the lowest denomination, those satoshis of a Bitcoin. Currently, we have 5.4 million on our weekly allocation and a 1.1 million satoshis, adding $100 per month. Weekly, we've invested 2,100, monthly 500. Average cost basis currently for our weekly is at 39,000 and monthly is at 42,000. So we currently only have $100. We are still in a loss at 17% weekly and 24% monthly. But if you understand, what we want to give you is a perspective, ultimately how this is going to work at a current price of Bitcoin at $31,657. If one day we truly believe Bitcoin is going to be $1 million, we went over this last week. That same $2,100 that we've allocated so far, and we didn't add any more Bitcoin, would be worth $54,000 at today's prices. And that $500 that we put into Bitcoin, specifically on a $100 monthly basis, would be worth $12,000. And that's without allocating any more money into Bitcoin for the remainder of existence. But in this case, we're going to put in $100 and we're going to say this is June. So this is right around the corner. Now, if at $1 million Bitcoin, just to understand how much that $100 will potentially be worth down the line and allocating that towards Bitcoin. And we're going to just use this as a basis of the current price of Bitcoin at 31,000. Now, obviously, this will change as time goes along. You're not always going to be able to buy Bitcoin this cheap, but it just kind of gives you a little perspective currently how much. So you'll notice $11,929. When I add these up, we're basically getting over $3,000 per month at $100. So every $100 you're currently adding, if you believe that Bitcoin's going to get to $1,000, that $100 is actually, you're just allocating $3,000 worth of wealth each and every investment you make into Bitcoin. So if we're going to go ahead and do that over the course of the next 4 weeks in June as well, and we're just going to actually, this is for the weekly. Understand, we did that for the entire month of June. That's at those, where it's going to say on average, Bitcoin's price stays at that, just for the sake of the argument. Now we've put in well over almost 2,600, almost a half a year's worth of $100 allocations per week at 67,000. Now understand, if we did this in the entire year and the Bitcoin price stayed the same, which is not going to happen, but if it did, and we basically were able to dollar cost our average way in at 31,657, that would take us to, we would have allocated on a weekly basis $5,200 worth of US dollars into Bitcoin, and that means that our price would be well above $134,000. That 5,200 would, or 50, sorry, yeah, 5,200 would now be worth well over $134,000 in the future, with Bitcoin being priced at $1 million. I'm just saying, best investment you can make right now into crypto is Bitcoin. Allocating some portion of your portfolio into that. It's just a recommendation. Look further into it. We're going to continue doing this week after week into DCA and let you track it and how we're progressing. I'm doing it. I'm just giving a recommendation, letting you on this journey with me through macro crypto. If you like this video, remember, give us a like, subscribe. Come on, everyone. Till next time. Peace, y'all.